Influencer marketing versus influencer relations. Let's tackle influencer marketing for the moment because it's yet another buzzword or buzz phrase we have to grapple with. If we're going to generalize a little bit, influencer marketing is kind of a bit of a transactional tick the box exercise and it seems to be a lot around Instagrammers, but it could be around bloggers, podcasters, people who have, power tweeters, got big followings on Facebook, for example. But Instagram is the one that's really knocking it out of the park at the moment. And there are, as you're probably aware, there's online marketplaces and tools that can help marry brands together with influencers. Now, the number one thing is, are they really influential? Just because you have a very big following doesn't necessarily mean you're influential. So you've always got to be aware of that. Sometimes someone who has a smaller following but a more engaged following can have more influence than someone who's just got the big numbers. So that's one thing we always got to look at, and that's one of the variables when it comes to dealing with influencers. But influencer marketing, like if you're looking at Instagrammers, they've got a following, they'll create some content that you approve, and hopefully that is in keeping with what your message and what you're trying to promote out there. Hopefully, again, the Instagrammer or the influencer puts a hashtag spawn for sponsored, at least lets people know that they're being paid to create that content and to publish it on their own channels. And then sometimes it just finishes. Let's tick that box. We've got a campaign. Let's get it out through 10 influencers, and they go bang, 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 and out it goes. And then there is no relationship ongoing, and we see that time and time again. So that's probably when an ad agency or a more likely a media buying and planning agency, maybe a digital agency, gets involved because it's around a campaign. Now, when it comes to PR, we probably call it more influencer relations. Now, it doesn't mean we don't do the tick the box, get these influencers and pay them. That is one part of the influencer marketing equation. There tends to be a commercial transaction there. That's why it's a transactional versus relationship type scenario. But with influencer relations, again, you've still got to identify who are the people that matter the most to the success of your business, your cause, or your issue from an influence perspective. Who can influence the ultimate audience you're trying to reach? So that's probably the hardest thing we always have to dig through and to identify, and whether we're doing it manually or we're using tools or a combination of both. But sometimes, and I know this particularly in PR circles, it's about inviting people to events. It really is about building relationships with those people and giving them access to things that they might not otherwise get. Because a lot of times it's not about the money, it's about the experience. Certainly for bloggers, that's the case, because they're always interested in creating new and different and original content. But sometimes they need a hand with that. And if you can give them access to, the engineers who built this hot new app, or the CEO who no one really gets to talk to as much, or you invite them to an event that you're sponsoring, whether it's sport or whether it's whatever it is in the space that you play in. That can be quite a good thing, and you're building that over time. You're giving them behind the scenes access sometimes. Sometimes you're giving them access before you're giving it to the media, and that's always a powerful proposition as well. Now, that doesn't mean there's not necessarily no commercial transaction, because if you've built a really good relationship with a blogger, for example, who's also got a great Facebook following, and you've built that relationship over time, and it's a respectful one, maybe you want that person to create some content specifically for you that goes on your channels and on their channels. And that's, it's a bit unfair to ask them to do that for nothing. So that's probably by and large the difference, and there is overlap, of course. Influencer marketing, a bit more of the tick the box campaign, like we'll pay you, you get that stuff out on our behalf, we'll approve it and all of that sort of stuff. Still has a degree of authenticity, you would hope. Influencer relations is a little bit more going back to building a relationship like we have with journalists and producers. It is that relationship based, a bit of mutual respect, a bit of value exchange, and somewhere along the line, potentially there might be a commercial transaction. But it's for the longer term. It takes a little bit longer to get involved. That obviously it's relationship building. And so I think we just need to be cognizant that it's not an instant result thing. It's what value can you deliver to the influencer without getting really any expectation of getting anything in return. So that's a bit of a mindset shift. But if you're going to deal with influencers, it's really good to understand both sides of the influencer equation.